Okay, my first question to you is, how did you get started in the industry? How did your career begin?
Okay. Well, I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm an only child, and I was always kind of uncomfortable at 6 years old living in Texas because I had dreams to become something more than just a housewife. Not that there's anything wrong with being a housewife or a mother or things like that, because I certainly did that as well. But I had dreams of becoming an actress, and that just didn't set too well in Texas, having those ambitions, Mm-hmm. But I was very lucky because my mother and father, there was, planes didn't take off that often to come out to Los Angeles, and we're not in the show business family at all. So consequently, the chances of my becoming anything like that were really almost non-existent. But as fate would have it, sometimes my uncle, who lived in Indiana, was brought to Los Angeles on business. And so, and he began to live here, so we came out to visit him. And I fell in love with California, and I so wanted to live here, but there was no way that was going to happen either. So I went back to Texas and decided to take up a sport, ice skating, mm-hmm. which I got pretty good at, which could bring me out to California in the summertime to study ice skating. So that's how I kind of got myself out of the state during the summer months. And while I was learning to skate and improving my skating and getting involved with the American team to go to the Olympics, I kept asking people, do you know anybody in the motion picture business? Because that's really what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So I was accepted by the American team to go to the Olympics, but I got an interview to go on a motion picture, audition. And so I got the part. And I had been in little theater because I had no training, as an actor at all. But I had been in little theater in Texas, and then I was in little theater here in Beverly Hills. And a talent scout had seen me in one of the productions, and I was like 16 years old. But I got a chance to audition, and I began to do major parts in very small little films, little monogram films, Mm-hmm. They were just made in a week and for probably no more than, a couple of $1,000s. In those days, it wasn't that expensive to make a movie. And I had this wonderful agent that really only had 10 clients. And he got every single one of us started in business. And he took me to Wayne Fellows, which was a production team that worked for Bat-Jack, which was John Wayne's company. Mm-hmm. And there was a part in a film called The High and the Mighty. And I went into that interview. I didn't really have an appointment. My agent didn't get me an appointment. He just walked into the offices. And William Wellman, who was the director of that film, wasn't in office that day, but I saw Andy McLaughlin, who was the first AD. And he said, you would be perfect for the part of Nell Buck in The High and the Mighty, but we're testing tomorrow. Everybody's been set for the test. But I'd like you to come to Warner Brothers Studios, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll test you. So he gave me the sides to the scene. And I went home, but I thought, what am I supposed to wear? So my mother and I went shopping for something for me to wear for the test. Well, William Wellman came back into the offices, and he said, what do you mean you're going to test this girl? I never saw her. I never gave you approval to say we're going to test her. You call her right now. You tell her not to show up in this industry, not to show up tomorrow morning. Well, he did call me, but in those days, we didn't have message services. I wasn't home. I was out looking for an outfit to wear for the test. Yeah. So he got up the next morning very, very early to call me to tell me not to show up. But I'm always early. Great lesson. Always be early. I was very early for my call. I was due at 7. I got there like 6:15. And I wanted to take a look at the set. I wanted to talk to the makeup artist. I really wanted to do this right, And everybody else had had their scene test for at least 2 or 3 weeks. I just had gotten mine overnight. Well, they were going to send me home. But John Smith, who was testing with a young lady, that young lady pulled out of the test that morning. And I was just standing around thinking I was there to test, but I wasn't. They were going to send me home. But when John Smith, his leading lady for the test, was sent home, they decided to shove me in her place. There were 10 tests. We were number 8. We tested with Mr. Wellman. He didn't rehearse us. He just put us in the plane set that they had there, sort of makeshift plane set, because it's about an airplane, and we did the scene. And he filmed it. The first rehearsal was filmed. And he said, "Where have you been? My God, you are great. You've got the part." I left that studio that day having a major part in a major film, High and the Mighty, which I later won the Golden Globe for, and many other awards. It was a very successful film starring John Wayne and a whole cast of fantastic people. And that sort of set me up for having a career for the rest of my life. I mean, I never was ever wanting for another job the whole time. I mean, I'm just the girl you love to hate, who didn't really work, who had a dream and walked right into it and just became a success overnight. And but I worked hard too. It wasn't like I was frivolous. I wanted to be respected as a very good actress, and I worked very hard to become that. And when went under contract to John Wayne, and I went to him and I said, "Look, I'm never going to work opposite you. I'm too young. But thank you for putting me under contract. But all the studios have their contract players already, so you can't loan me out. And I know this is not done, but I want you to give me permission to go to television." Because once you start in motion pictures and you get an award and get popular that way, you never go down. You always try to stay up in that. But I wanted to go to television. Mm-hmm. So he said, "Go and do it." And I did. And I did. When live was live, I did a lot of live shows. And did the first Hallmark Hall of Fame live. And then went on to do many other Hallmark Hall of Fames and Playhouse 90s and Studio Ones and all those, and got nominated for an Emmy. But so I was one of those lucky people. So that's how I got started.
Absolutely. And are you still acting, or are you retired? Are you still?
Well, I'm still in the industry. When I met and married Stanley Kramer.
Oh, yes.
I've been working in the industry almost for 16 years without stopping. And when I met him, I was 33. And I knew he wanted to marry me, and I really wasn't interested at the time. Mm-hmm. But the more I got to know him and listen to him, and I thought that I'd be foolish not to. He was doing such important work, more important work than I could ever manage to do as an actress. And I just fell madly in love with him. And I married him, and I never looked back. But I then became a producer with him. And so I'm still producing. So I'm still in the industry. I've been in the industry really officially since I was 16 years old. And I've been part of it, ever since. And I'm remaking Stanley's High Noon right now. Well, we can't shoot right now because we're of the pandemic. We were going to go start shooting this late summer. Mm-hmm. But so now we're sort of on hold with that project. But I have a lot of projects that I'm doing. So I'm busier than ever right now.
And that's good to stay busy.
And particularly since the pandemic started. Pardon?
And so, I said that's good to stay busy, especially as you enjoy it,
Well, it's a very interesting time because I'm at a stay-at-home. I haven't been out of the house hardly at all for almost 5 months now. But I have been busier because I've been making more deals. I have about 7 or 8 projects that I'm producing, mm-hmm. and I'm working on all those projects. So my day is very structured and it's very full. And I have 2 daughters, as you know, Catherine and Jennifer. They live with me, and they're both very active in the industry as well. And so we make our schedules. We get up in the morning and we hit it. We start hitting our business, and then Jennifer conducts an exercise class here in the house at 3:00 for Kat and myself. And so we're really accomplishing a lot more than if it was a normal day, because you're outside or you're doing things out of the office a lot, so you're not concentrating quite as much on the interior of the office. It needs to be deals need to be read and said, and so we've been busier than ever during this pandemic. As sad as that is for the country and for the world, it's been probably a positive thing for us.
Yeah, it's strange to say, but yeah, people are adapting and doing more in their lives, but it's sad for the country, the pandemic, and I hope hopefully this all ends, and all we have to do is pray and just pray for the best, hopefully.
Well, you have to kind of, yes, you do have to adapt. And I think that the virtual shows that I've been seeing, we're adapting to that, and we're figuring out ways how we can make films. It won't be the normal way, but because I'm a member of all the guilds, the Television Academy, the Motion Picture Academy, the Producers Guild, the Directors Guild, all that, and the SAG, I have privileges to hear many of their inside chats that they talk to us about how they're hoping to get back to work and how we can do it. It's going to be more like guerrilla filmmaking, though. You won't have the honey wagons, or you won't have the arts, the crafts of the food. You won't have makeup artists and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very skeleton crews and a very different way of shooting. So you just don't know because we haven't experienced it personally yet. But we are making plans, and we are trying to find a way to go back to work successfully, but differently. I think streaming is going to be very important. You saw Hamilton. I'm sure that they had Hamilton. They filmed the Broadway play. They did a fantastic job of filming that play. And they streamed it. Well, it went to the roof, Trey. It just was so watched. I mean, everybody was watching it. It made a lot of money for them. And so if you're thinking in terms of a play, and they film it just so, and you have a skeleton crew, you can do that. And it's a different way of doing that, too. So Broadway may open that way. Broadway may open with filming things and then streaming them. So we'll see. It's a whole brand new world. In a certain way, it's exciting. Mm-hmm. It's difficult and sad to leave it behind. But in another way, it's very exciting to think of new ways of entertainment.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to that and seeing how we come through this, and just hope we come through this with less deaths now, and hopefully we'll find that vaccine, and it's going to take some time though.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, we have to prepare and just, life is. Hopefully, life can. Go back to being as it was, normal as can be. But, this is a sad time, but we have to stay positive and just keep the people...
Oh, yes. You have to stay positive, You there's no sense in giving... I know they've had a lot of people who go through depression and things like that, and I think there's programs to help that. Luckily, that does not happen in my family. We're so active. We're so positive. We're so full of, every day is chock full of things we have to do and are doing. So we're not having to participate in any kind of depression at all. And I'm thankful for that. And I have two fantastic girls that are very busy. My youngest daughter, Jennifer, I know you've spoken to Kat, who's she's a whole whirlwind full of things she's doing every day. And my youngest daughter just made her first film, so she's in the process now of finishing it, but the people that are working on it now are stay at home. It's color, getting the sound right and the color right, the color, I guess you would call it balancing the color of the film. So she's through with most of it, and a lot of the special effects have already been done. So she'll have that finished in another month, and we'll see what we're going to do with that. I don't know what we're going to do with it, but we're going to figure it out. So she's a filmmaker, and she's a major concert pianist. So she has that other sideline that she does as well. So that's my life so far.
Well, that's good. It seems you've been very blessed to be working as an actress and blessed with the family, and that's great, You have to enjoy life.
Well, I've been lucky because everything I ever dreamed of having came true. I marvel at living in Texas and how that my family's not in show business, and they were supportive of my dream, but how it just fell into place. how I got the right agent at a very young age and who really took me all the way to the top.